my name is Jason JROCK Houston, and you are listening to Destroyer 40. Our special guest tonight is my good friend wD'Bury, the lead singer and guitar player, drummer, bass player, keyboard player from the band wD'Bury. How you doing tonight, Jeff?
I'm doing good, Jason. How are you doing? It's good to hear from you. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, it really is. And one of the reasons I want to talk to you, because I know, like me, you're a huge Kiss fan, and Kiss has been celebrating the 40th anniversary of their classic 76 album, Destroyer. And I want to know if you mind sharing with people listening to this how you became a Kiss fan, and what your thoughts are about this being the 40th anniversary of Destroyer.
Well, I've been a Kiss fan my whole life. I love Kiss. Back when I was a little kid, about 12, 13 years old. They were just around. The kids I went to school with were listening to them and that. And the very first Kiss album that I ever owned was Rock and Roll Over.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that was the first one I ever owned, and that would have been probably back around 76, 76, around 76.
Yeah.
And I bought that album, and I just loved them. I loved the whole thing, the makeup, and back then, no one knew what they really looked like, without their makeup, because there were never any photographs published, publicly of them, and that was one thing I really liked too, which was really cool, I always wondered what they really looked like under that makeup, and Kiss was actually the very first concert that I ever went to as well. I was about 14 years old, and I got to see them in Chicago at the Chicago Stadium.
Wow.
That would have been their Love Gun tour, a Love Gun / Alive 2 tour, because I seen them. It was shortly after the Alive 2 album was released, and it was that stage, that they had back then with the stairs and the lighted stairs, and they had the big the platforms that elevated them over the audience and stuff. And,
okay.
It was really cool, to see them. I was 14 years old. I went there with my friend and his dad, and it was something. It was unforgettable. Something I still remember. I remember the whole thing to this day.
Wow.
I remember how loud they were. I'd never been to a rock concert before, and they were it was so loud. My ears were ringing for like the next couple of days, and that big bright Kiss sign, I could still see like flashing when I closed my eyes, I could still see flashing. It was, so bright and stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah, and you make a couple great points. I mean, there's the fact that it's one thing to listen to a Kiss record, and then you go to a show. They're known for putting on such a great live show. Talk about seeing. You said it was your very first concert ever. Talk about seeing the band for the first time live. When you see Gene Simmons breathing fire and spitting the blood and Ace shooting his rockets, that must have been like something you'd never seen before.
Oh yeah, to be a 14-year-old kid, and seeing that, because prior to seeing them in concert, back in the 70s, there was no MTV.
Yeah.
There wasn't any you didn't see, you weren't, any, not just Kiss, but any band. All you really seen was pictures of them, posters, pictures. I had a collection of circus magazines about, 3 feet high, and you just see pictures of bands back then. And when you'd actually see them even on television, for me anyway, see them like moving around, and jamming and stuff. It was exciting, especially Kiss,
Yeah.
To see them, moving, when you'd see clips of them on television sometimes, on like the American Music Awards and stuff like that. And I seen that movie that they came out with back then, Kiss Meets the Phantom. It was a terrible movie. It was awful.
Yeah.
But as a kid, growing up and then, being my favorite band, I thought it was the coolest thing ever to sit there and watch Kiss for 2 hours on television. I remember it was on ABC. I remember in Chicago, that was Channel 7, and it was on ABC, the ABC Movie of the Week.
Yeah, you make a couple good points there about the movie. I mean, the movie hasn't really stood the test of time, but as a Kiss fan myself, I still dig checking it out every now and then when it comes on TV. I even got it on the History. It's one of the bonus features on the History DVD. But the cool thing about it is Kiss is so much from a rock band, as you know, Jeff. I mean, you wouldn't get the Beatles, doing something like that. And it was just something so, like the image too. Like you made the point that if they were around today, if they were just starting out, there's no way they could have kept the mystique like they did, where they were taking film away and forbidding people getting pictures of them, and they really owned that, and they really protected the image and everything, and they didn't allow anybody outside of their inner circle to even try to catch them without their makeup.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things that was so cool about them. I mean, there were pictures I can remember seeing, like in I don't know, The Star or whatever, when Gene Simmons was dating Cher and stuff. Like those pictures, he had like a scarf like around his face.
Yeah.
They'd show, they try to catch pictures of him and stuff like that, and that was really cool. To me, they were like this, larger than life, and it was to see them live and like I said, in the 70s, there was always a mystique about all bands, really.
Yeah.
I mean, rock and roll was only about 20 years old at the time, and I mean, like, all the bands back then had their own sound, they had their own style, they had everything. Kiss was, they took a lot of what they had, from bands like the New York Dolls, Alice Cooper, and stuff like that, and they did what they do, the makeup and all that stuff. I mean, I own all three Kissology DVDs. I mean, if you ever have a chance to pick any of those up,
yeah,
they're really awesome. There's on all three of them, there are full-length concerts from the date all the way back to 1973. And that movie Kiss Meets the Phantom is on.
Yeah, one of those.
It's on one of those DVDs. And it was just, they were just something. Something special to me. They still are.
Yeah. And I mean, even so much to the point that Kiss was one of the first bands where, talk about the marketing. I mean, Gene Simmons, the guys were such geniuses. You brought up like Circus Magazine, which Circus Magazine and Great Rock Magazine just don't exist today anymore because, of the internet and stuff like that. But it was Gene Simmons early on who I understand who decided, okay, you know what? We're the band Kiss. We get to decide how our band is represented in the press. We own the photos. Anybody is going to put us on the cover. We get to decide, if we like the cover shot or not. And that they were one of the first bands to kind of, really take charge of their whole how the band was represented. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I don't really know a whole lot about about that aspect of it. I just, but I just know that, when I'd see them in magazines and stuff, it was just really cool,
Yeah.
And they were my favorite band. They were still my favorite band. And I don't, musically, they're not, the best musicians.
Yeah.
But it's they're good at what they do. They're good at what they do. It's not just about the music when it comes to Kiss. It's not just about to really get a full perspective, you have to see them live.
Oh yeah.
You have to see them live because that's where the magic is. It's something that you never forget. And they what I liked, I think one of the biggest things I liked about them was that they cared about their fans. They wanted they gave you your money's worth. You went to see a Kiss concert. You came out, like fulfilled. I guess you could say. They were just entertaining. They mastered the art of rock and roll entertainment.
Yeah. They really do put on the ultimate rock show. And the thing about it is, you make a good point. They've been criticized about their musicianship over years, but the way I look at it, okay, this is a band that's still doing it 40 years later. They've written that many great songs. I think for what they lack in musicianship, they're really great songwriters, and that's how they've been able to last so long, because they've really got great songs.
They do have a lot of great songs. They do. They have, I mean, a lot of, I mean, when you see Kiss, I mean, every song they play, the whole audience sings along with, I mean, every single song.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can't help it, because you know those songs, you've heard them, they're great songs. I mean, they're great rock and roll songs. You know, I don't like put Kiss into the category of heavy metal or stuff like that. Some people do.
Yeah.
They're a rock band, you know, they're a rock and roll band, and their songs, their show, you know, I mean, some great classics like Rock and Roll All Night, you know, Aces, you know, Shock Me, you know, Peter Criss coming out singing Bats. You know, I mean, these are all. I mean, Kiss are the gold record champions of the world. They have more gold records than any other band in rock history, and I mean, music. Period.
I mean, yeah, that's amazing, and you know, the very good point you just made is that's the thing about Kiss is you know, people label them hard rock, metal, and there's some aspects of that in there, but they've got a little bit of everything. I mean, this is a band that, you know, while they can do a song like Heaven's on Fire and Lick It Up and Unholy, they can also do, you know, like Rock and Roll All Night. They can do Beth, you know, something like Forever. So there's a little bit of something for everybody in there.
No, there is, absolutely. I mean, they're. I mean, Paul Stanley is the primary songwriter, you know, and I love all of his songs. I mean, he's a really good songwriter. I mean, Paul. I mean, he really is. His lyrics, the structure of his songs, and it's really the way, you know. I mean, it's kind of, you know, how when I write songs, it's like, you know, the way that they structured their songs, that they're structured, you know, is kind of the format that I follow when I write a song.
Oh, okay.
You know, my music doesn't. I can't really say it sounds like them, because I don't try to sound like anyone.
No.
Me.
But it's your influence is coming out there. Yeah.
Their music has a huge influence on the way I write songs and stuff.
Yeah, and you know, the thing I always loved about Kiss that kept it fresh for me is I love the fact that not just one guy was doing all the singing. You had four guys that could sing, while, you know, Gene and Paul sing the bulk of the stuff and write the bulk of the stuff because they're the two main guys. But you'd every once in a while get a song from Ace or Peter, and I just love the fact that all the guys in the sing, you know, the band could do more than just, you know, play their instrument.
Oh, exactly. I mean, all of them sang. I mean, you know, Peter Criss sang in Black Diamond, you know.
Yeah.
It was one was usually the song. Well, every time I've seen him was usually the song that they, you know, that ended the first set before they came out and did any encores. You know, Black Diamond. You know, that I mean, Peter Criss sings that song. You know, and it was, you know, it was really cool. You know, and Ace would get up there and do Shock Me, and, you know, Gene does his songs and Paul does his. It's complete total entertainment. They're entertaining. I mean, there's a lot of talent in that band that I can see as a musician, you know, that some people may not see. You know, people that don't like them and stuff. You know, I was always the kind of person that I didn't care. You know, if other people didn't like them, I loved them.
Yeah.
You know, and there wasn't anyone go, oh, what's up with this? I didn't care about that stuff, man. I mean, I was into that. That's who I liked Kiss. That was my favorite band. I mean, I mean, I walked around school with my Kiss T-shirts on. You know, all that stuff. I mean, they were it for me. You know, that was my thing.
Yeah, I mean, Kiss is, like we said, it's so much more than just a rock band. It's a lifestyle. It's like the circus has come to town. It's I mean, it's one of those very few bands where you take two guys like you and me that are, you know, huge Kiss fans, and we could talk about the band for hours and hours and hours. There's just so much history. You know, again, Kiss is just it's almost like a lifestyle, and fans will, like you said, fans like kind of like what you're saying about yourself, you know, they'll fight for days like, no, Kiss is my band, and I don't care if you're into Led Zeppelin and this and that, and that's the kind of band it is, and that's why they called it the Kiss Army. All these fans came together in love of this one band, and you know, they're still doing it 40 years down the line.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, there are very few bands, you know, that have stood the test of time. You know.
Yeah.
You know, you get a lot of these bands that came out in the '80s. You know, and they're back to playing clubs with maybe one or two original members, you know.
Yeah.
But even though Kiss, even right now, I mean, they know it's not the original four.
Yeah.
Although the original four, every time I've seen them, except for once, I've seen them 5 times, and it was always with well, the first time was in '77, and I seen him in '83 with Vinnie Vincent and Eric Carr on the Wicked Up tour, the first tour that they did without their makeup. It was good. It wasn't the same though for me. You know,
Yeah.
It wasn't the same as it was when they had the makeup and stuff. And then in '95 when the original four got back together and put their makeup back, I mean, I was right there. I seen him on that tour also. I seen the Psycho Circus tour, and then I seen the farewell tour. Well, it really was the farewell tour because it was the last tour that all four original members toured together.
Yeah.
But even today, with I can't take anything away from Eric Singer. He's a great drummer, and he brings something to them that they didn't have before. Just a real solid background. He's a great drummer. And you have Tommy Thayer, who was a killer guitar player. And even though a lot of people had a problem with them, putting Ace's makeup on and Pete's makeup on. But Gene and Paul are Kiss. Those are the two guys that started the band, and they know what they're doing because they're even with two replacement players, they're still selling out 20,000 seat arenas around the world. I mean, how many bands do you know can do something like that?
There are probably, like you said, not too many, but, Eric Singer, you make a great point. I've always been a fan of his, but, the funny thing is, before he hooked up with Kiss, nobody knew the guy could sing. He was just, everyone thought he was just a great drummer. And, a couple years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago, maybe a little longer, he put out this great solo album with it was called the Eric Singer Project. They did a bunch of covers with Bruce Kulick and John Corabi, and all the guys did some singing on it. But it was it's really a great CD, and people really got to see Eric Singer really shine as a singer.
That's the first time I heard about that. That's something I'll have to check out. I didn't even know that he did that.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Now let me ask you, as a Kiss fan and a guy who started out as a drummer primarily, was Peter Criss much of an influence on your drum playing, or what did you think of him as a drummer?
Actually, he was. I mean, when I first started playing, he was, because that's how. I mean, when I was a kid, that's all I listened to. Really, was Kiss. More than anything else. Yeah. And so, in a roundabout kind of way, yeah, he was. But then I started getting into other, like Rush and Neil Peart and Tommy Aldridge is a one of my favorite drummers, and there's Kyle Palmer. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was. Peter Criss was. He had his own style. He had that old school kind of like a big band type of style that I thought when he brought something that he brought an element to them that no one that most drummers don't really bring. I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It was different. It was different. He was a real simple kind of a drummer, but what he did, he was solid, and he was a solid drummer, and he was he was good at what he did. Plus, he could sing. He could write songs. The Peter Criss solo album from the 4 solo albums, I loved that album. I thought it was great. It was like old style type of rock and roll, and stuff like that. And I really got into that album a lot.
Yeah, I love the song "I Can't Stop the Rain," and I love his version of "Tossing and Turning." I thought that was a real great.
Oh yeah, both. Yeah, those were actually two of my favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, and so for you, when in 1980 when it was announced he was leaving, was that a big deal for you?
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't know what to expect. Said, well, what are they going to do now? And then Eric Carr came into the scene, who was a really good drummer. And I liked how they went out and just picked basically someone who was a nobody.
Yeah.
Instead of going out and finding and getting someone that was well known and bringing them to the band. And they just found this. Eric tried out for the band. And they liked him. He was just a kid from New York. Yeah,
and I understand a big reason for that, because we were talking earlier about the mystique of the band. I've read things over years where several known players like Carmine Appice were trying to get the gig, and the problem was, as great of a drummer as you are, Carmine, people know what you look like. We need somebody that.
They knew. They had, because at the time they still had known it, had ever seen what they looked like. So they had to do it. They almost had to. To find someone that was an unknown. Put the makeup on them. And I've read articles of Paul Stanley, recently saying that he somehow regrets putting the fox makeup on Eric Carr or something like that.
Yeah.
I just think I thought it was, why would you, at the time, bringing a new member of the band, I mean, you'd have to give them their own character.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think it wouldn't have worked if they would have put Peter Chris's makeup on him. It wouldn't have worked back then.
Yeah, it seems to work now, and I think part of the reason is because, Eric was already previously a member of Kiss before he started wearing the cat makeup. So he kind of, Eric Singer, that is, he kind of had his own history with the band. And the other thing is, like you said, those are kind of 4 iconic figures, and I think it'd be a totally different thing if they were trying to say, okay, we're going to have him wear Eric Carr's fox makeup. I don't think fans would really go for that. I think that would be more of a bad situation right there.
Yeah, well, I liked how they went about it, and I remember, seeing them. They were on some television show. It was called. It's actually on the Kissology DVD.
Uh-huh.
A show that was it was called Kids Are People Too.
Oh yeah. That's one of the first things Eric Carr did with him.
When they introduced him.
Yeah.
When they brought him out and stuff for the first time in public. They all had the makeup on and everything, and I remember watching that show. I mean, there was no way I wasn't going to miss it.
Yeah, and I think, one of the reasons I don't have such a problem with it is because, as far as Eric Singer and Tommy wearing the makeup, is it'd be one thing if the guys were trying to sell this off as, that's Peter and, Ace, but they're at least, honest about it, and they're not trying to fool the fans or anything. So, I can dig it for that and say, okay, at least, they're being honest about what they're doing.
Well, see, when they first did that, I didn't like it. I thought, well, these are characters that persona that, or I guess you could say that Peter Criss and Ace Frehley, invented themselves. But I mean, they had been around for so many years at this point, and I can understand now why they did it. They just wanted. I mean, that was. The original band, you had the Star Child, you had the Demon, with Gene and the Catman and the Space Ape, the Spaceman. So they were, they were just trying to keep the same, the same, how could you say it?
Same image going. I mean, if you
the same, exactly, the same image, same element. Because that's, and I think that a lot of Kiss fans have. Come to accept it. I mean, I have. I mean, I would go see him.
And the thing about that, Jeff, is that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. How Kiss is so much more than just the original 4 guys, and just so much more than just a rock band. I mean, so much of a point. If you think about those, I mean, who would ever have thought that you'd have a band where they wore makeup first of all, and then each guy had each individual character. Those characters would become as big of personalities as the band members.
Yeah, well, exactly. They developed their makeup, with Gene.
Mm-hmm.
Gene was in the horror movies, and this which just they're like their alter egos.
Yeah. And
I thought that, I liked how they did all that.
And it's kind of
nowadays, in modern times, it's a little different, and they're just trying to keep the same look.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty cool.
It's and it's kind of interesting. You were sharing earlier at the start of the interview that Rock and Roll Over was actually the album that you first got into Kiss, because the album that we're talking about tonight, Destroyer, turning 40, that was a previous album, and Destroyer, kind of interesting. It's booked in between Alive and Rock and Roll Over, because if you remember, those first 3 Kiss albums really weren't selling. And then when they put out Alive, because there's something going on with the band live, and everybody got a chance to get that album and hear what they sound like live, it just took off. And then next time when they went in to do Destroyer, they thought, okay, we got to step it up. And I really think on Destroyer, Bob Ezrin is almost a fifth member of a band or of a secret ingredient there.
Yeah, he helped write write songs and stuff. Yeah, he was. I don't really know a whole lot about him.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've heard Paul and Gene talk about him, and I've read stuff. But yeah, they when they Destroyer is it's there's things about Destroyer too that I've heard Paul talk about, that Ace didn't even play on a lot of the songs because he couldn't make it to the recording sessions and stuff like that, and they had other people. I mean, that's not even Ace Frehley playing on some of those songs.
Yeah. Well, I'll share a little bit of trivia here with you. What I know about that is Ace is on the majority of the album, but as far as the songs he didn't play on, that would be Sweet Pain and Beth. And the guy they brought in was oddly somebody that Bob Ezrin had worked with previously in the Alice Cooper band, Cooper's guitar player Dick Wagner. And he played on those two songs. Now, knowing that now, Jeff, as a Kiss fan, does that bother you any, knowing that Ace didn't play on those two tunes?
No, Billy. No, it's a great album. I like the album. It's one of my favorite albums. I can't say that it's my all-time favorite Kiss album. I think Rock and Roll Over is probably my all-time favorite album. That and Alive. But Destroyer is a good album. It's got songs like Detroit Rock City on it and all that stuff. But no, I don't have no. I mean, they had to do to get the album out, and it's a great album. And it turned out just fine. And the rest is history. Yeah,
because to me, one of the things about Destroyer, I really think that was the album, but they really stepped the songwriting up a notch, and I think Bob Ezrin had a lot to do with that, and it was the sound effects that he put on the songs throughout the album, and the thing that was is like, it was an album where you'd have a song like Beth, you'd have a song like Detroit Rock City, you'd have a song like Do You Love Me, and so a lot of the fans at the time, from what I've been reading, when the album was initially released, they had probably thought, this is too polished, it's too commercial. And the album didn't really take off right away. Originally, they released Detroit Rock City. It wasn't until somebody started playing Beth. And then they re-released the single as Beth with Detroit Rock City on the flip side. And then the album started selling, which is kind of weird because, again, Beth was the first time Kiss had ever done a ballad.
Yeah, and I remember, Paul talking about that. They had City that's back when they had 45s.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah, oh yeah. And they had Beth was on there. They thought it would be and it turned out to be one of the biggest hit songs of all time. Because I mean, when Peter would come out and sing it, usually after he was usually doing, they'd finish, the first set, and then when they come out, that would be usually the first song that they did. When they came out to do the encore, Peter would come out and he'd sit on the stool out there and he'd sing Beth, and it was just it turned into something really really big that they had no idea that how big it would be.
Yeah.
It's a great song, I love that song.
And again, 40 years later, it still be played in TV commercials and movies and on the radio. And the thing about Destroyer too is that's when Kiss kind of reached their pinnacle in the sense that if you look at that album, a lot of those songs are still in the set list, the Kiss set list today, and it's kind of interesting that they've been performing those songs that long. But that's what people love. That's material. And, I'll give you one more little trivia tidbit here. Did you know "God of Thunder" was originally written by and performed by Paul Stanley and not Gene Simmons?
Yeah, I did. I've actually heard I've heard the version of it. A friend of mine had it, and Paul Stanley is singing it. I thought it was great. But I guess the song kind of fit Gene a little better, and that's probably, and I'd imagine that's why they had Gene sing the song on the album. But yeah, I didn't know. It is on the album. It is on it. It's just Pete Stanley, that wrote the song.
Yeah.
And there is the recording of Paul Stanley singing it.
Yeah, people can actually hear that on the Kiss box set if they have it. And a little bit I know about that is, again, that was a song Paul originally wrote, but when Ezrin heard it, he thought, this Paul, we're gonna have Gene do this because this sounds more like a Gene song. And the interesting thing about that, like we were talking earlier about the different personas, after that Destroyer album and that song, they recorded that song, Gene became known as the God of Thunder. That's where he kind of created his character, which is kind of interesting when you consider it as a Paul Stanley song.
Yeah, and it's one of the biggest. I mean, it's like one of the when you go to a Kiss show. I mean, that's that's the song that Gene redoes the blood, you know, and then they flies. They have those wires attached to him, and he flies all the way up into the air, and then he lands up on top of a lighting truss.
Yeah.
And well, back in the '70s, he didn't do that. You know, back when they came back in the '90s and stuff, they did the he'd be up on top of their singing "God of Thunder" and stuff. Yeah, there was, and then it was usually during that song that Peter would do his drum solo, and so it was really one of the main highlights of the whole show. That became, you know, if you look at Riffs concert and not see them do "God of Thunder," I mean, like, you know, you get ripped off.
Yeah. And, you know, it was one of those moments too in the concert. I mean, I remember a couple times I seen the band, and you know, that's typically when he would do his bass solo. He'd do this thing where he'd breathe the fire and spit the blood. It was just, you know, and again, typically, I mean, unless we're talking about a bass player like Billy Sheehan, who's just a great technical player, you know, there aren't too many bass players that, you know, do full-blown solos like that. So that was always a big part of a Kiss show. And of course, I could talk to you all night about Kiss, Jeff, but I want to talk a little bit about it. You're a multi-talented guy yourself, like we were talking at the top of the interview. You're a one-man band, but I was really impressed. You know, I'm a huge fan of all the stuff you've put out, but this latest album you put out, A Better Sky, man, I got to tell you, I think this might be your destroyer. You know, it's some of the best stuff you've ever put out, and what really impressed me about the album overall, besides, you know, just the songwriting and everything, was I thought, you know, typically the stuff you put out, I think because primarily, like, you're a drummer, that was your first instrument, that typically your albums, you know, the songs and that on your albums are like where the drums are like front and center. This was like really almost like Jeff DeBerry, Guitar Hero, come alive. I mean, it's the guitars were really the front and center for once, and I thought, you know, really great guitar work here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't really plan on it being that way. That's just how it turned out. And you're actually the first person that said that. I think that's really cool. Yeah, I did keep up the guitar and stuff more on this one. I also I bought some new recording software, and there was a lot of really cool guitar effects and stuff in there, and I liked them, and I used them, you know, and it really brought the album out. It really, you know, brought you know, it kind of, you know, brought what I was really trying to do, you know. So I wanted a big sound, you know, and by doing that, I think I achieved getting a bigger sound, you know, guitar-wise than I have in my previous albums.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just to start the album off with, like, Born to Rock, I thought, okay, that's the perfect song to start this album off with. Great opener. Clock Strikes Midnight. That kind of sounds like early Cheap Trick to me. Some of them could have been on their first album. And I want to talk a little bit about the third track is actually, third and fourth track, A Journey / Better Sky, which is the title track. Talk a little bit about The Journey, which is a great, you know, kind of instrumental, but it's almost like 10-minute track. That what was that like to record?
It is about a 10-minute track. I wanted to, I don't know, I had this idea, you know, this vision. I didn't just want to record a song called A Better Sky.
Yeah.
I wanted to have that song be, you know, I wanted something that led into that song that would be, that would just be like mind-blowing. You know, I wanted because my very the first two albums that I ever recorded way back in 1999 and 2000 were just instrumentals. I didn't sing on any of those albums. There was no vocals. They were just instrumentals. And I kind of wanted to go back to my roots a little bit of just doing instrumentals, and you know, show people what I could do. And and all of that really, is just stuff that I just came up with off the top of my head. You know, I just started jamming. You know, and I started recording it. And you know, I just kind of went from one
idea,
one part of the song to the next, and I planned it out for that song to lead into the title track, which is A Better Sky. I kind of made, and I entitled it The Journey, because when you listen to it, it's kind of what it sounds like.
Musical journey, yeah, great. That was exactly what I was feeling. Yeah,
and trying to try to find a better sky,
Wow.
And what I mean by a better sky is like just something other than the world we live in. You know what I mean? Something that's because I just have a vision that there's something better out there somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I've always had this vision that there's something better out there than the world that we've created.
Cool idea. Cool. Now, I was reading in the thank you notes in the album cover that you mentioned this guy Deacon Beck, and you kind of thank him for giving you the idea for a better sky. Is he the one that kind of came up with that concept, or what was his?
What I did, I couldn't. I mean, I was recording the album. I started recording songs for the album, and I didn't know what I was going to call the album. I didn't have any ideas for a cover, for the CD or anything. I was just writing songs, And Clock Strikes Midnight is actually the first song that I wrote and recorded for the album. And I had just went on my Facebook page. I have a lot of people on my Facebook page. Many of them are fans of my music.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't know what to call this album. I said, if any of y'all have any ideas, just throw them out there. And if I use one of them, I'll put your name in the credits, and then you get a free copy of the album. And this guy Deacon Beck, he wasn't even it wasn't even intentional.
Yeah.
What had happened is I had seen one of these memes, on Facebook of a sky with clouds.
Wow.
And the clouds were forming like it looked almost like a heavy metal horns, that deal.
Wow. Yeah.
And something, I can't remember what the caption of it was, but I had posted the song. I posted the picture. I shared it on my page, and then my friend Deacon, he made a comment under it, and he had posted a picture of a guitar which appeared to be like flying through outer space.
Yeah.
And he wrote under it, and all it was a better sky.
Wow.
And I seen that picture of that guitar, and what he had written, I said, that's going to be the title of my album. I found the picture that actually appears on the cover is one that I came up with, but the one on if you open the CD up on the inside, there's a picture of me, and just with that guitar flying. That's the picture that he had posted on Facebook. And so I gave him credit for coming up with the
concept,
for helping me come up with the title, and I put his name in there.
Oh, cool. I love it. Giving credit where credit is due. And I know that you always design all the album covers. This one, I think too, it really stands out. How long did it take you to come up with that design?
Well, actually, I didn't draw that or anything myself. It's a picture that I found. I'll search the web. And I'll look for stuff that would work for an album cover. And this is a picture that I came across on just looking through different stuff online, and I've seen it with the guitar, and I was like, man, that's the album cover. There it is, And so I just used that. I kind of altered it a little bit in some ways, and I used it.
Yeah, and you were mentioning the clouds and that on the album cover. Now, I was looking at the video for A Better Sky earlier, and I noticed the cool clouds in the background there. That's obviously computer generated, but what did it take to create that video?
Oh, I have a video. It's the video editing software that I have, and I mean, really, it's just when in other parts of that video, where it shows me like standing like in outer space, and in the clouds and stuff. I'm really standing right here in my studio with a black backdrop behind me,
Wow.
And I just used they call it I can't remember what it's called, something chrome something, I don't know. And it deletes the background. You have to have a solid color behind you, either maybe like the black like I use or a blue or something, and you put the two videos together. And it'll make whatever's in the foreground appear like it's whatever's in the background.
Oh, that's very cool. And again, it's kind of interesting because I know you're such a hands-on guy with with your music, from writing it and to how you package it, and I think that's a bit of a Kiss influence coming out, because even like I said, when I first saw this latest album and just look at the album work and checking out all the songs, I thought, this guy's stepping it up a notch here. He's really trying to give his fans like something really professional, and you can see the Kiss influence as far as trying to deliver a quality product there.
Yeah, it's more than likely that's where that stuff comes from. Now, if you were to check out one of my other videos from another song called "I Just Want to Be Me," you'll see a lot of big Kiss influences now, with explosions and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance, it's on YouTube. It's called "I Just Want to Be Me."
Yeah, and again, I don't want people to sit here and think if they pick up the latest wD'Bury album, "A Better Sky," that you're going to get a whole bunch of Kiss sounding songs. That's not what this is. This is a guy that grew up listening to Kiss, and he's a huge fan. But if you pick up this latest album, "A Better Sky," you're going to get like a wD'Bury album, which is great original music, and that's what I've always admired about you, Jeff. Because if anybody listens to any of your tunes, the songwriting is just it's really there.
I try to make a wD'Bury album, like I've said in other interviews, that I want to bring a little variety, and I don't want every song to sound the same. When I write, as I've mentioned many times before, it just all depends on how I'm feeling, and that's how it comes out, because I can't read a note of music, and I've never had any lessons or anything. I learned to play all on my own, I've learned to play by watching other musicians, what they do, how they do it, and I just would do what they did, and it came out sounding, And I try to put my own personality into my music and stuff, because to me it's more than just having the ability to play an instrument. I don't try to get technical or anything like that. I play just from my heart, and I just go with how I'm feeling, and that's how it comes out.
Yeah, like you and I discussed many times, I think we'd get a different set of tunes here if you were still writing the songs, but you had another guy singing them, because again, being that you're the guy that wrote these songs, they're things that you've experienced and gone through in your life, and so when you have somebody else singing the songs, as great as songs as they may come out to be, you don't get the same kind of thing coming out, because you're the guy who wrote them, you're the guy who experienced. So when you sing these songs, you can, like you're saying, you can sing them more from the heart than just a hired singer.
Yeah, I don't try to portray myself as being a singer or a guitar player or anything. Like I said before, I'm a songwriter. And I like singing my songs. I don't think I'm any kind of a great singer.
Yeah.
By any means, but I can sing my songs. And I like singing my songs.
And
they come from my heart. So to have someone else do them, it wouldn't be the same for me.
Yeah, and you've been able to build up enough of a fan base, because say what you will, but there is a little bit of talent. The fact, let's be honest. You like we said, you sing, you write, you play all the instruments on your albums. Not a lot of people can do that, and the fact that I think one real strong reason you got such a huge, little bit of an internet fan base there, Jeff, is the fact that if you didn't have the songs, people wouldn't be buying down. People wouldn't be checking out your music. If you just had just one great song, people wouldn't keep buying each new album that you put out. So there's something there. And
that's what I try to do. I try to give people something, that I don't want to sound like my favorite bands. I want to have my own. I really strive to have my own style, my own sound, my own little form of rock and roll. You know what I mean? And
I think you've accomplished that on this latest album. Now, let me ask you. One of my favorite songs on here is "My Suicide Lover." That's something that's a little different from what you typically do, but it's one of the songs that I really latched onto here.
Yeah, that was co-written by a good friend of mine, Mark Yandel. Mark Yandel is a DJ on Digital Revolution Radio, www.digitalrevolutionradio.com. They're 24/7. They're internet rock radio station, and they play everything. They play everything, mainstream music to indie bands and stuff. And Mark has a show on Thursdays from 2 p.m. Eastern time to, I believe, 6 o'clock, and then on Sunday mornings he has a show from 9 a.m. Eastern time to 1 o'clock. And he was a singer in a band back in the 70s and the 60s and 70s, and he's a bit older than I am.
Wow.
And but he was is actually with a rock journalist who's actually met some really legendary
Players.
people in the business,
Wow.
like he met Jimi Hendrix.
Wow.
He has pictures of him with Ron Wood from the Rolling Stones and Rod Stewart and bands like Mountain and
Wow.
Pink Floyd and stuff like that. So he has a good background, and I like his show a lot. And him and I have been good friends for a couple of years now. You know, and I asked him, I just asked him, I said, would you want to write some lyrics for one of them for a song? Because Mark is kind of raunchy and stuff, you know. And I'm not really good at writing those kind of lyrics.
Yeah.
I wanted a song, you know, that had something that had kind of, you know, it was kind of funny and kind of raunchy, you know what I mean? And so it was just a basic blues riffs, you know, and I put together, and I did a scat track where I didn't really sing any lyrics. I just kind of just like mouthed and like, I don't know, kind of hummed the way I wanted the vocals to go, and then he wrote the lyrics for that song.
Wow. Well, that really is a standout track. And then another one I really latched onto was "Keeper of a Gate." Now I listened to that and I thought right away, again, because typically a lot of stuff you do is kind of, you know, commercial, poppy, 80s sounding type rock. I listened to that and I kind of got like a Black Sabbath type, and the vocal to me was really Ronnie Dio-ish, and I got to just compliment you on that.
Thank you. Yeah, that song I was just kind of messing around down here in my studio, and my wife heard it. She goes, "That sounds like Sabbath or Ozzy or something."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, it does a little bit, don't it?" And so and like the lyrics for that song, my wife actually gave me the idea for the lyrics for that song. She didn't write them, but just gave me like it's about a guy who is who's like a wealthy man, but made all his money by screwing other people over. He's on his deathbed, and the man's going to hell.
Welcome to the modern world, my friends.
And the keeper of the gate is like he's the keeper to the gates to hell.
Wow.
And and so that's where I got the whole idea for that song, and I had to make it sound like, you know, kind of dark and the way it is. And it's actually one of my favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, mine too, and I think that's what really makes that track stand out, is because it's one of the most different sounding things you've ever done, as well as, you know, on the whole entire album here, and I think that'd make for a cool, video. And I understand that you're working on some more new stuff. It's going to be for some type of EP. Do you want to share us what that is all about?
Yeah, I recently purchased an entirely new recording system, and I'm going to. I actually just finished. I've been working on this for about 3 months now. I got this stuff about 3 months ago, and I have the software I'm using is it's called Studio One Professional, and it's a very expensive recording software. It's professional software. And I'm now using a USB interface, whereas I'm recording through the USB port of the computer, and it gives me a high definition sound. And I mean, it's you'll hear it when it comes. What I'm doing this thing, what I'm doing right now, is I kind of wanted to do something a little different than what I normally do with all my wD'Bury stuff. I just had a vision for. I was trying to think of a name of like a band name, you know, and I came up with a name called Crimson Cross.
Wow.
And so that's what it did to be me. but it's going to be like a side project from my wD'Bury stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I am planning, as soon as I finish with what I'm doing, I am going to start on a new wD'Bury album. But this is just going to be an EP of 5 songs. I just want to see how it goes over with people, if they dig it, you know. And when I think of Crimson Cross, I think of an epic sound with like a heavy metal kind of theme to it, with like a symphony in the background.
Wow.
The song that I just finished, called Condition Critical, it has that. I have the metal sounding guitar. You know, it's got some really cool drums that I did in it, and behind it all, it's like I have like a symphony of strings that I put behind it.
Wow.
Following throughout the entire song, and you'll notice my vocals are a bit different on this song. I'm kind of you'll have to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna. I just actually finished it up today, and I'm gonna release this one song. I'll probably post it tomorrow on my Facebook page.
And let me ask you, doing a song like Keeper of the Gate, did that inspire this at all, as far as like having so much fun doing like such a heavy tune that kind of inspired you to do something different?
Actually, it did. It kind of is the Keeper of the Gate is one of the last songs that I recorded for A Better Sky, and I really liked it, you know, and I liked the feel of it. And I feel like my mind is constantly going. It doesn't stop. It never sleeps. I have ideas all the time. You know, it never stops. And it's all the different stuff that I like to do. You know, and I mean, this album is going to be unlike a wD'Bury album where you have a variety of different stuff.
Wow.
It's going to be a one thing kind of an EP.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put my personality into it.
Yeah.
Do all my other stuff. So everything is not going to sound exactly the same. But it's going to be but everything is going to have like a symphony sound behind it, and just a real epic sound. I want it to be real epic.
Wow.
Big, and that I have now that I'm using, I really achieved that. I'm gonna post it and see what people think of it. I've been talking about it, but now I'm gonna see what they think about it, see if they like it.
I can't wait to hear it. And now, as far as A Better Sky, we ended with like 2 of your kind of older tunes, Hold Out for Tomorrow and Hats Off to Rock and Roll, 2 great tunes from some of your past albums. I know you're a bit of a perfectionist. You always like to go back and kind of redo older tunes. I was curious, with some of the albums being out of print, any chance that you might put out like a compilation of some of the older stuff from older albums and that?
I'm not really planning on taking like songs from my other albums and putting them all together. But what I'm going to do with this wD'Bury album that I'm gonna start real soon is I'm gonna re-record a lot of those songs with my new equipment and stuff. And I'm gonna make that. I want to make really good, really quality recordings that are gonna. That are gonna be bigger than what they were. I want a nice, good full sound and a professional sound. I'm planning on doing some new material, bringing some new stuff, and I'm gonna do like I've been doing, but I'm gonna take more of these songs on some of my older stuff, some stuff that people have probably never heard.
Oh, okay.
I have a whole library of songs.
I bet, yeah.
And I've been going through some of those albums, and it's like, man, that's a good song. I just need to get a really good recording of it, you know.
Yeah.
Because I don't have $1 million studio.
Of course, yeah.
And so the stuff I put out previously, some of the audio isn't what I'd like it to be. But now that I have this new recording system, I can get that sound now that I've always wanted, And it's been really difficult. It's been frustrating trying to work with this stuff because it's not unlike the software that I've used in the past, which is pretty simple and easy to use. This is professional software, and it's like everything has to be precise. There can't everything, and it's really going to show my talent as a musician, when people hear this stuff, and I just want to have the best sound that I can.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I'm doing now, I believe is gonna going to achieve that.
And I know that the internet, the way you've been doing things the last couple of years is like, as you record these songs, like you were talking about, you might put the new song up tomorrow. You've been releasing like one song at a time, and kind of it gives you a chance to kind of see people's reaction and what they think of the tunes. I was curious, like when you record each track, how long do you like labor over like the recording of one song? Does it just depend on how it's coming out, or like do you do a lot of takes of one song before you finally record the final version?
I do a lot of takes of different parts of the song.
Yeah.
It all depends. I mean, I put a song together in like a couple of days before. Like ROCK and Roll from my last album, wD'Bury 7. I wrote and recorded that song in like 3 days.
Wow.
It was done.
That's pretty.
But like what I'm doing now, like I've been working. Well, I wrote a song. I put a song together called Condition Critical, and I've been using this song, to try to get used to my new stuff and working with it and stuff like that. And I've actually recorded the song about 15 times.
Wow. Yeah. So you have a lot of different takes. That's cool.
Yeah, I've been working on it for about 3 months now.
Wow.
And it's a good song. It's not that it's I'm just trying to get the right sound. I mean, there's a sound, I hear it, and that's the sound I want. And I think I finally got it.
And so then, yeah.
It's frustrating, but it could take me anywhere from 3 days to a month,
wow,
or longer to do a song. It all depends on how it's coming out as I go.
Oh, okay. And so now you mentioned that the Crimson Cross project, kind of the next thing we're going to get from you. But do you expect the next wD'Bury album will come out this year, or probably in 2017?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I really can't say. I'd like to try to get it done before the end of the year.
Yeah.
If things go the way I'm planning, it should be out before
the end of the year.
Maybe by the holidays, the end of the year. Yeah, I'm gonna try. That's what I'm shooting for. Because the Crimson Cross project is gonna. It's like I said, it's only gonna be like a 5-song
EP. Yeah.
And I've already got the one, and I know I have ideas for the other 4 songs. So I pretty much know what I want to do already. So I really don't think it. At this point now, where I finally got to where I have like everything in my software, what I'll do is the song that I just wrote, I'll use that workspace as a template, and I'll record all my other songs using that template. So I mean, everything is already set. All the levels are set. I always have to adjust, a little here, a little there, some minor stuff. But I mean, getting all my settings down is what's been taking me so long.
Wow.
It's really the way I recorded A Better Sky as well. I mean, I wrote the song that I recorded was Clock Strikes Midnight, and then I used that as a template, and all the other songs that I recorded were recorded using that same template. So I just did my guitar stuff, my bass, the drums, and then just made some minor adjustments in mixing the song, and it didn't take me very long at all to finish them.
And let me ask you, because you're a pretty confident multi-instrumentalist, but how do you feel in your ability to play the bass? Are you comfortable with the bass playing?
A lot of the bass, well, to be honest, a lot of the bass stuff I use my keyboards for.
Oh, okay.
I use my keyboard to do a lot of the bass stuff that I do. But I use my guitar and then I have my drums, and a lot of the bass, well, just about all the bass stuff I have keyboards that have an entire selection of different sounds, different bass guitar sounds and stuff like that. Because I have small hands.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to try that. I've tried playing the bass before, and with the guitar, I know what to do, but it's been just difficult. And that's when it comes to the bass, I'm usually using my keyboards.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Now, I want to thank you so much, Jeff, for being part of our Destroyer 40 special night, and just to kind of let you know, I've been talking to other guys like you that were influenced by Kiss. Obviously, we're talking about this being the 40th anniversary of Destroyer, and kind of letting people know, what the individual artist is up to these days, And so I'm glad that we were able to let all your fans know what you're doing these days, and we look forward to the Crimson Cross project and the next wD'Bury album. And if anybody hasn't had a chance, I really urge them to go out and grab your latest album, A Better Sky. I know they can get it at your personal site, or they can go to CD Baby and Amazon.com. Is there any?
Well, A Better Sky is also it's available on because through CD Baby they have a feature where I can upload my album and have it for a fee distributed to every major online music site there is. A Better Sky is on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's on Rhapsody, it's on YouTube Music, and there's just like a whole list of
Other stores,
online music stores that you can download it from. Physical copies are available at Amazon.com. Just go on Amazon and type DBURY in the search engine, and Barry 7 will pop up. My DVD of my videos, 6 videos that I put out about a year ago, is maybe a little longer, maybe about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Is on there, and Better Sky is on there. You can if you wanted to, if you're interested in getting a physical copy, or you can go directly to CD Baby and look me up on CD Baby, and you can download it. You can download the album.
Well, thanks again, Jess, so much for being our special guest tonight on Destroyer 40. And I know it's getting late where you are, so I'm going to let you go. And thank you again. Anything else you'd like to say before we wrap this up?
It was just really nice talking to you again, Jason. It's been a while, and I really enjoyed talking to you again. And hopefully we can do this again really soon.
Okay, yeah. Well, you keep me updated on all your projects, and we'll do it again real soon. Thanks again, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.